All right, thank you so much, Jacob. Local artists in the Magic City are putting in every effort to be environmentally sustainable through art. Debbie Kaufman has been working with single-used plastics to make quilted landscapes, while Rich Solberg welds scrap metals together. Kiona Rivera brings us with more on their story.
A single artwork can have pages of stories to tell. Artists like Debbie and Rich have been making unique pieces for more than 3 decades. Debbie Kaufman makes quilted landscapes out of plastic that cannot be recycled.
Start talking about how many plastics there are, because I've spent about 2 years collecting and then trying to avoid them.
She says she learned a lot about how plastic is almost impossible to get rid of. Longtime welder Rich Solberg says recycled metal is actually a popular form of art.
Rather than ship it out of here and send it to a smelter and make another toaster, we can turn it into art.
Debbie's art pieces have unique geometric designs, honoring women who continue to make quilts. She encourages everyone to try something new.
I was in 6th grade and I got in trouble for drawing the little pictures out of the dictionary in English class.
Rich's artwork revolves around taking words into sculpture. This piece is about a mama bird giving food to her children while the father bird waits around.
Tell the story of that saying in sculpture.
They say both plastic and metal can last indefinitely. In Minot, I'm Kiona Rivera, reporting for your news leader.
Solberg will have his 4th show at the Tobey Museum of Art on September 9th. You can catch 40 to 50 of his new pieces coming out. Very cool.